Find the idea. RB7 plus works only if one defender is overloaded. What would you play? Now rewind. Mikhail Tal has white against Tal-Averbakh in USSR-chTJ co-op. The point is not to memorize moves. In this episode, track the quiet mystery. The natural answer, the piece with too many jobs, and the square that proves the tactic was prepared. If a move does not change one of those things, we move quickly. If it does, we stop and turn it into a question you can use at the board. First quiet clue. This move earns its screen time by changing the open file before the forcing line appears. This is the first real clue. Now for EXD4 is the next pressure test after 2. NC6. Second exchange, not just points. One guard leaves, and the bishop route around move 4 becomes easier to see. The previous checkpoint, 2. NC6, changed the defender map before 4. EXD4. 4. EXD4 sets up the next question at 6. NXD4. Pause here, what square became harder to defend after 4? EXD4? Third trade with a price tag. If the defender recaptures or ignores it, ask where the king can still breathe. The board is already drifting from 6. NXD4 towards 6. Next 4. Fourth visible prize, hidden access. After 6. Next 4, the loose defender is easier to use. Look back one checkpoint. 6. NXD4 made the position fragile enough for 6. Next 4. Fifth defender count changes. A safe-looking position turns into a trap when the forced reply has no spare helper. That is why 8. BXB4 plus is not just notation. It is a new problem created by 8. NXB4. Sixth collapse warning. The check forces a reply while the pawn shield stays weak. A quiet detail from 8. NXB4 is still hanging in the air when 8. BXB4 plus arrives. Seventh timing question. If the defender spends this move on survival, which square became a highway? 13. QE6 plus sets up the next question at 15. XE6 plus. Eighth check with a purpose. The king answers first, so the trade choice can decide the next move. After XE6 plus, can the king and defender both stay useful? The board is already drifting from 15. XE6 plus toward 18. DXC3 plus. Ninth forcing checkpoint. Counterplay pauses while we inspect the entry point. Which defender cannot cover both threats? The previous checkpoint, 15. XE6 plus. Changed the defender map before 18. DXC3 plus. This is the bridge to 19. B's 3 plus where the defender has fewer choices. 10th tempo hit. A quiet defense would be nice, but this check makes the rook lift urgent. What does B's 3 plus reveal about the king's real cover? That is why 27. Fex4 is not just notation. It is a new problem created by 19. B's 3 plus. 11th trade with a price tag. If the defender recaptures or ignores it, ask which square is no longer free. Now 30. KC7 is the next pressure test after 27. Fex4. Pause here. What line opened because 27. Fex4 forced the issue? This is how initiative grows before the punchline. The move does not win immediately, but it changes the final corridor. 30. KC7 sets up the next question at 31. Rex 4 plus. 13th collapse warning. The check forces a reply while the open file stays weak. A quiet detail from 30. KC7 is still hanging in the air when 31. Rex 4 plus arrives. 14th timing question. If the defender spends this move on survival, which diagonal lost protection? This is the bridge to 34. B5 where the defender has fewer choices. 15th quiet clue. This move earns its screen time by changing the back rank room before the forcing line appears. 32. RH3 plus is the clue that makes 34. B5 less random. That is why 35. RG7 plus is not just notation. It is a new problem created by 34. B5. 16th forcing checkpoint. Counterplay pauses while we inspect the overload. Which piece has two jobs? The previous checkpoint, 34. B5. changed the defender map before 35. RG7 plus. Now 35. KB6 is the next pressure test after 35. RG7 plus. Pause here. Did 35. RG7 plus change material, tempo, or access first? No fireworks yet, but the trap is getting organized around move 35. Watch the tempo race. Who has to answer first? 35. KB6 sets up the next question at 36. RB7 plus. 18th king safety audit. If the reply damages the pawn shield, the next tactic gets easier. Look back one checkpoint. 35. KB6 made the position fragile enough for 36. RB7 plus. The board is already drifting from 36. RB7 plus toward 38. RH3 plus. Pause here. How many escape squares remain before the natural answer to 36? RB7 plus. 19th initiative in plain sight. The clue detail matters because the piece route still needs an answer. This is the bridge to 40. RH for plus, where the defender has fewer choices. 20th collapse warning. The check forces a reply while the trade choice stays weak. A quiet detail from 38. RH3 plus is still hanging in the air when 40. RH for plus arrives. The lesson from the queen raid that would not stop is concrete. The final tactic works because the earlier moves changed the defender map. In the My Chess Coach lesson, replay the quiet mystery positions, solve the puzzles, and name the clue before the payoff. The candidate move, the overloaded piece, or the square that changed. Then run the same checklist in your own game before you grab material or defend automatically. That turns this finish into a pattern you can recognize in real positions, not just a highlight you admire once.